back in the Roswell Records sound space. This is 5 Round MMA. My name is Alex Mares. Alongside me is Albert Tita. Guillermo Garcia. It's been about, 3 weeks since we've been in here?
Yeah, we had the World Cup. We had
4th of July.
4th of July weekend, so it's finally back into studio.
We finally get back to the studio.
Yeah,
As you can tell, I'm getting over a cold. So
was it at the World Cup fever you got?
Yeah, I think
it hasn't broke.
I think that's the way it happens. You start off with the fever, and then it leads into just a common cold.
We also made a little swap in substitutions last week. Big Game was back,
and he's still back.
Keep him again.
He loved it so much.
He's back.
He's back again.
The trolley. I guess your Portlandia field trip rubbed off on him, so he's over there in Portlandia doing God knows what.
Portland's it's a beautiful town.
I don't know what do you do in Portland. Walk around, eat donuts.
What don't you do in Portland?
Bacon on top of the donuts.
Yeah, bacon on top of the donuts. So today we got an awesome show for you. We got UFC Fight Nights. Cowboy versus Miller to talk about. We also got Fight Night in Ireland. Conor McGregor.
Come on, get it
Diego
right.
Brandao. And also we got UFC on Fox coming up this week as well. Your boy Matt Brown against Ruthless Robbie Lawler.
Both of his boys.
Both of your boys. We also have I'm super stoked for this interview with Chris Lytle.
Yeah, so am I.
RMA ambassador, UFC on Fox analyst.
The man of many tools.
Many tools. He's going to be on the show later on. I'm super excited about that. But let's get to the Fight Night reviews, shall we? Let's start with the first one of the week was Cowboy Cerrone versus Jim Miller.
Guillermo was hating on Cerrone. Why? I don't know.
I don't know why either.
But it was a good fight. And,
because Cerrone's good, it's a fight that matters.
It was actually a back and forth.
Fight did matter.
Yeah, and it was actually a back and forth fight until finally Donald Cerrone landed a pretty good body kick. And he kept going for the body, and you knew it. You knew he was going to switch it up and go for that head kick. He was just keep going for the body and and he finally threw the head kick, landed straight, clean, and
it was a super impressive win for Donald Cerrone. But the storyline for both going to the fight was for Cerrone and Miller were two guys who were great, but when it came to the big fight to get the title shot,
choked.
They both choke's a harsh word. Choked. I mean, come on. He's wearing a Spain national jersey.
And you're talking about choking.
This is their 2010 jersey, so they won it all. They didn't choke.
The two guys who couldn't get over the hump. Let's say that.
Yeah.
So now
put it nicer.
He's trying to crack that top 5 and never really make it.
So now, obviously, the big talk now with Cerrone's victory, he's going to face the Russian beast Khabib Nurmagomedov.
But he's already out
from the East,
which is probably a number one contender bout. But the biggest question now is: can Cerrone finally reach his full potential and get over the hump? And obviously, is he a champion of a championship pedigree? Does he have?
I don't think so. I don't think he has a championship pedigree. I think, like I said, maybe the pressure gets too much, the lights get too bright. He has to work even harder.
And you can
tell that's his biggest thing is working hard off the fight. That's been his biggest question. And now with the Russian going down with this, I think it was
he's hurt already?
MCL. Yeah, so the fight got scrapped 20 minutes after it was announced.
What?
Wow. but the thing with Don Cerrone, I think what it is he's a late starter in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the most dangerous part because even Jim Miller got a couple good hits off first before Cerrone got into the fight. If you remember when he fought his ex-teammate Melvin Gillard, he actually got caught first, and it looked like Melvin Gillard was probably going to win that fight.
That's true.
And then he came back guns blazing. But he is kind of a rough starter. I would like to say.
Dangerous.
And that's dangerous when you're in the top 5 of the lightweight division.
Just like if Benson Henderson got caught with that armbar with Anthony Pettis, and Anthony Pettis already beat Donald Cerrone.
The two, obviously, the top of the cream of the crop in the lightweight division.
Gilbert.
But he also lost to Benson Henderson. Remember the first
he
round choke?
And Anthony Pettis
in the first round early on. So
see what I mean? That's what I'm saying. He has a rough start.
Yeah.
If he could just get past that first rough start, he usually settles in pretty good.
And maybe that's you guys think I'm hating on Donald Cerrone, but that's my thing. I don't think he'll ever reach that championship level.
I'm okay.
True. Also on this card, we had a big discussion last week because there was 2 big flyweight matches on both cards.
Yeah.
On the fight on the Cerrone one was John Linkner against Alpic Osijic. Well, anyways, John Linkner won that one.
Yeah.
They
clearly
both threw down though. It was a great fight. John Linkner won by TKO. And in the Conor McGregor Irish Dublin card, Ian McCall
won his fight.
But against Brad Pickett.
But before the fight even took place,
a big old thing about if John Lichtner wins, he's number one contender. No, if Ian McCall wins, he's gonna be number one contender. Well, he has to win by knockout. No, what if it's a decision win? And all that was for nothing because Mighty Mouse has a new opponent already. So
and
it's neither John Lichtner or Ian McCall. So,
but like I think Ian McCall said it is kind of funny that he just chose to like pick a fight right off the bat instead of wait to see what the outcome of these fights were. I don't know. It just seems kind of weird.
It's not
for
Mighty
the
Mouse. I'm assuming it. I think it's Dana White more than anything choosing the fight.
I'm sure Mighty Mouse just said, "Oh, well, tell me a fighter I want to fight," and they get him a
but
fighter.
I hate it now that Ian McCall's maybe a little upset at Mighty Mouse, and maybe he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, Mighty Mouse is scheduled to fight Chris Casario.
Before we leave this segment, I do want Gunnar Nelson had an impressive fight.
Well, we still got to talk about Conor McGregor.
Zach Cummings, but. He brought up an interesting point. He actually wants to fight against Rory McDonald. Rory McDonald wants to fight against Tariq Saffiedine. That's the one that he thinks it feels it's the natural fit. I think either fight is good to pick a number one contender. To tell you the truth,
Tariq Saffiedine, and that's the guy he's going after.
Yeah,
well, it makes sense. But
isn't Tariq Saffiedine been out for such a long period of time with that injury?
I remember the first card in the year.
Yeah, but isn't he out in an injury?
No, I think he hasn't fought yet. That's because if you win,
but Gunnar Nelson said he wants Rory McDonald.
It's kind of like it's that if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? If you win on UFC Fight Pass, does it count? Because nobody saw it. So speaking of victories on Fight Pass, I guess we'll go talk about your boy Conor McGregor.
Yep.
Honestly, if it wasn't Conor McGregor, I wouldn't even know that there was a card in this fight because he won.
In all honesty,
and he let everybody in the world know that he won.
Before the fight, during the fight, after the fight, I think he's just still talking about it.
Yeah, I think he's still talking. Yeah. So Conor McGregor, I thought interesting one. He said that he's going to be a champion by the end of the year. And if I remember, we had like a Mad Round game earlier on this year, and I asked the question if Conor McGregor would wear UFC gold by the end of this year, and Albert's like, no, it's already May. Count the months down. Well, he's already guaranteeing that he will wear UFC gold. Give me your thoughts on Conor McGregor's performance and also on his bold statements.
I think the UFC needs a guy like this. Not only can he talk it, but he can back it up. He's the opposite of Michael Bisping because he can actually,
all these low blows.
I know. But I think that's what the UFC needs. I think that was the stepping stone to get everybody's attention. Now he has the attention of Cub Swanson. He has the attention of the Frankie Edgar.
I think he had their attention.
He has their attention, but are they taking him seriously?
No, but see, before it was just Conor McGregor just talk, just shut up, just shut up. Now it's like okay. If let me see if that talk is for real, and I think now the focus changed a little bit where it's like let me get a shot at Conor McGregor. Let me shut him up.
He kind of lines up perfectly with Frankie Edgar now, right? They both fought a couple weeks apart.
Cub Swanson wants to get into the mix too. The thing is,
the problem is Jose Aldo versus Chad Mendes getting pushed back,
and we don't know when Jose Aldo's coming back either.
I heard late October.
Yes, that's what I heard.
If it is late October, he's not going to fight again this year.
Well, you going back to you being wrong? Like we're talking about
interim belt, dog.
I know.
I got my fingers crossed on the interim belt. Chad Mendes versus Conor McGregor for the interim belt.
Well, Conor McGregor already said he wants to fight again in Dublin, but like in a soccer
Dana White
stadium.
Said no.
In the soccer stadium.
Well, Dana White said no. He wants to put him back in
U.S. soil.
Put him in U.S. soil and get him away from that home court advantage a little bit. Yeah. But I could see them going back to Ireland and being such a big.
But I think if it's Frank Edgar, they got to do it overseas. If it's
why?
Just because I think that fight will actually be pretty huge.
You don't think Chad Mendes
you don't think Frank Edgar could draw the United States, bro?
Well, I wouldn't care. But I think Cub Swanson, on the other hand, is a better. United States.
How is that logic?
It makes more sense.
Frank Edgar's a star
I think Frank Edgar gets more respect overseas than he does in
the
States.
He doesn't get respect from Albert. He doesn't get respect from Albert.
It's an island, right? So isn't Ireland
it's amazing. Wow.
No, I think he has it flipped around. If it's not Chad Mendes, Cub Swanson, Conor McGregor goes back to Ireland. If it's Frankie Edgar versus Conor McGregor headlining a UFC pay-per-view.
And Frankie Edgar will be popular in Ireland.
With that said, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah, we got Chris Lights Out Lytle for you guys, so stick around.
Please visit 5roundmma.com on our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. 5roundmma.com.
Welcome back. Joining us now via the 5-Round MMA hotline brought to you by Redemption Martial Arts. Please visit redemptionmartialarts.com to see how you can join the movement against bullying. With us now, we have a great honor to welcome UFC veteran, firefighter, politician, children's author, ambassador, Chris Lights Out Lytle. Chris, how's it going?
Going great. How you guys doing today?
Good, good. Thank you for joining us. I know I got a lot on your plate. I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Did I miss anything there in your introduction? You're doing so much in your post-fight career, man.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny to me that I quit fighting because I wanted to spend more family time and just felt like I'd been away from my family too much and kind of putting myself first. And seems like I'm still very busy now that the fight game is over, and I just always see things that I need to do. So it is different, though. I do get to spend a lot more time with my family. It's you know, before it was when I had a fight, it didn't matter. I had to go do that first and fight family. You know, sometimes I had to suffer down, but the family comes first, and then I find time to do all the other things. So. Yeah.
Now, once you ended your fight career, did you have an idea on what you wanted to do, or did all the opportunities come like one by one out of the blue? So, yeah.
I mean, well, and my initial thought was I was trying to run for state senate. I ran for state senate in Indiana. Ended up getting second in that instead of first. There was a couple of us running. I ended up getting second, so I didn't make state senate thing. So then I had some extra time. I was always kind of helping train fighters and whatnot, so I continue to do that. Opportunity came up for me to start putting on fights. A couple gentlemen came up to me who had put on a few fights before, and they wanted to do fights the right way in Indianapolis. So I kind of partnered up with those guys and have been putting on, I think I put on, this is my 10th one coming up August 15th. So been putting on fights. And then the opportunity for me to, a kid wanted me to come to his school and read to his class. So the teacher, like the school got a hold of me and said that they have a secret reader program, and kids wouldn't know who it was. And they, you know, until I showed up. So I said I would do that, and I went there and I read this book written by Peyton Manning, and it was about the family something or other. So I went, I read that book, and then when I got out, I thought, man, that book was rotten. And I was like, man, come on, Peyton, you can do better than that. So then I thought I could do better than that, and then that's how I decided to write the children's book about, you know, the anti-bullying book too.
Yeah, the book is called Lights Out on Bullying, and I think it's come out in August, correct?
Yeah.
So obviously we got the how you get to spark the idea, but what's the inspiration behind the story in the book, and why was it's such an important process for you to write that book?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Well, I would say the main reason I wrote it was I have 4 kids right now, and my youngest son Jake, he has autism, so it's very different, especially being your last kid. When you've already had 3, everything normal, and you're I've been a parent for a while, so to see my last son, you know, he has just a little different than everybody else, you know.
Yeah.
Great kid, love him to death. I'm my best friend in the world. I spend more time with him than probably the rest because he's just a little bit different, you know. He doesn't quite have the friends the other kids do. I've always just been extremely worried and terrified that he's gonna face a lot of adversity, especially when it's gonna come with. He acts different than a lot of kids, so I can foresee in the future people treating him, you know, not real well and making fun of him and hurting his feelings, and it's just a heartbreaking thought for me as a father, especially somebody who, you know, I feel I've done a lot, and people very kind to me, give me a lot of respect, and I would never do anything, you know, that would make me feel bad, but then I know it's going to happen to my son. I'm thinking all this, I would rather people try to make me feel bad than my son. How can I do this to help him? So I really, you know, I was like, man, I can go threaten kids, but that's pretty much all I can do. I don't want to do that. So I was trying to think of a way I could do things to try and help. And really, when you think about it, the only way to help in a bullying situation, you have to educate people.
Exactly.
And education and trying to get people to understand that, you know, bullies aren't happy people. They're doing this to compensate for their own problems and their insecurities and just different issues. So the more I think I can try and help educate people to that fact, I think they might understand. And the good thing is when I go places and I show like a highlight video and then the kids are there, man, they're hanging on my every word. So they're actually listening to what I say. Then like, this guy is a legitimate fighter and he's fought in the UFC and he's going to come talk to me. And I start talking about how negative bullying is and whatnot. I think they actually listen to me. So I just found this to be a great opportunity to try and educate people, and try to do my little part, whatever it might be, to help not only my son, but everybody like my son, or everybody who's ever just been made to feel inadequate or feel bad about themselves. I mean, I'm a firm believer that, kids, when I was younger, they dealt with it better. I just think nowadays coping skills aren't as good. And I mean, you see a lot of kids who commit suicide, just a lot of terrible things that just break my heart, man.
Yeah. I think you did touch on it earlier, how you said you showed a highlight reel and see that show the kids that you can, back up your talk. But I think it is something different when you see a guy, who's in your position, who has the ability to beat people up, but you're educating them, so, use your words, and you're using through, a different way to handle the bullying process.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing I'm trying to say. I mean, in the book, I talk about the fact that, people, the truly tough guys, they don't go around fighting people. It's not, you don't have anything to prove. You would rather do that and trying to get across the point that you feel much better about yourself when people look up to you for what you can do in helping people than if you intimidate people or try and, make them do things. I mean, you don't feel as good about yourself today. You might feel good for the moment, but long term and just different times. I mean, you don't want to be disliked, and you don't want people to, have that kind of negative connotation to you. But if you can help people, everybody's gonna worship you, and adore you for being a helpful person, and you feel good about yourself. You feel good when you go to bed at night, and that's kind of the direction I'm trying to push the book in. Is it's more just trying to do what you can to be helpful to people and to use whatever God-given gifts or powers or strengths you have to help people instead of to be negative.
And then you're the ambassador for Redemption Martial Arts, and since we're staying with the bullying topic, what are the ultimate goals of you being the head spokesman of Redemption Martial Arts?
Well, my main goal is to get them to people to realize exactly what Redemption Martial Arts is and whatnot, and try and get them to get me in as many places as I can. I want to go to schools. I want to go to as many schools as I can. I want to go to youth groups. Anything I can go with is going to be a lot of kids there, and I can have a captivated audience to try and get the word out. So it's hard for me to go right now to myself and be like, hey, I'm going to come to this school. Well, I don't know, that's difficult. But, if you can get an organization behind you that is known for anti-bullying.
Okay, and Chris Lytle, you recently joined the Fox Sports team. Can you tell us about joining them and how you're going to take the approach to it?
How I what?
Well, you recently joined the Fox Sports team. I know it's kind of a hard. I don't know if it's a hard gig, but because you're such an expert in MMA, you've coached you guys one-on-one. Is there kind of a different challenge between explaining what's going on in the cage to a mass audience to maybe some of people who maybe only casual MMA fans?
I think one thing I'm pretty good at is maybe it comes from having kids, and I'm not really sure what it is, but I can usually kind of break it down to whatever level I need to. So when I usually explain stuff like that, I think I do a pretty good job of talking to level so everybody can understand me. I'm not trying to overcomplicate or, if I get, let's say I put on a fight seminar, I do a good job of going with, if I'll have a lot of people there, I try to break it down to where everybody's going to explain me or be able to understand what I'm saying. I've been to certain places where they want more advanced stuff. Okay, great. I love doing that too. Yeah. And I can do that, but I usually try and do a pretty good job of breaking it down to the easiest common denominator. So that's kind of what I was trying to do there, just trying to be more common sense approach and trying to explain it so everybody is going to be able to understand. There's only a very small select group of people who've actually fought who are going to be able to understand the more technical side to it. So I was just going to try and explain it to people just quite what I'm talking about. For example, I remember Daniel Cormier was talking about just being able to switch your stance in the middle of a fight, and I kind of trying to break down, well, that's very difficult to do if you've been training one way the whole time. I didn't get into the logistics of what's going to be open and how you're going to be able to be countered that way, but just kind of let people know that, yeah, if you've been training right hand all the time, you're used to that, and your eyes are used to it, and go left-handed would be totally different. So just try to break it down and make it where people can totally understand what I'm saying from a simple point of view.
And then sticking with your experience, you actually debuted in 1999. So you actually were there when MMA was really evolving and becoming the MMA that is now. Can you just talk a little bit about that experience?
Sure. Well, to be honest with you, I appreciate what you're saying. 1999. That's absolutely inaccurate. It was 1998. You know, but the funny thing is, there's probably I got about 15 to 20 fights under my belt that aren't on the internet.
On the record?
When I started fighting, on my record, they just weren't on the internet. I mean, there wasn't much to do with the internet. A lot of my fights they didn't consider sanctioned because there's no sanctioning body. But I'm like, there was no sanctioning body anywhere.
Wow.
So
yeah.
There was just none. But man, it was such a different sport back then. It was really funny because I started training pretty much January or February of 1998, and I guess the UFC was about 4.5 years old back then. It wasn't very old at all. So it was just so funny the progression it's taken, and the people who were really good then were pretty good at one style. Who's this guy? Oh, he's a good wrestler. What about this guy? He's a good kickboxer. They were pretty good at what they did, and they were just starting to get into being more well-rounded. Like I remember watching, people like Maurice Smith and whatever, and he was a kickboxer who actually learned how to not get submitted and be decent on the ground. Then he dominated for a while. Then you had like the Mark Colemans who were just good wrestlers who learned how to not get submitted, and they would dominate from that aspect. So it was just funny to watch the progression, and I think I was one of the few guys who learned pretty quick. I was a pretty good submission guy, and I worked on boxing a lot, but just tried to work on combining a couple different things and really tried to work on those equally. I think most people just wanted to do what they were good at, tried to get real good at that. I tried to work on everything and try to get a little bit better at everything. And so it was just funny how it's went, how certain guys who were just so dominant for a time, I think they got in their mindset, this is what I do to win. Mm-hmm. And then they had trouble adapting. I mean, I think they had trouble going, hey, I'm a great wrestler, I'm a great kickboxer. And then to be able to actually humble yourself to do the other and get beat up for a while by some guys you should be beating, I think it's hard to develop that as a mentality of I need to make myself better in everything. And I think the sport kind of passed them up. I mean, there's a lot of guys you knew from UFC 10, 12, 15, and you just didn't see them anymore.
Yeah, sticking with that, I mean, the evolution, can you talk about the evolution of the martial artists? I mean, not only the men and women enter the cage, they're like elite level athletes. Do you see that, like, obviously the different type of training techniques, doing the CrossFit along with the mitt work and the submission game? Do you see, like, just how do you see the sport evolving as far as the competitor standpoint?
Well, I've been saying this for an awful long time. I've been saying this for probably about the last 8 years. My prediction is you're going to see the evolution change. We're going to get a lot of, really, really good collegiate athletes, whether that be college wrestlers, which I think they're going to really dominate the sport in many aspects. Mm-hmm. But even like at the upper weight class, maybe just professional level football players, mm-hmm. or I don't know, maybe baseball. I don't know. You're going to get a lot of the people who are great athletes, very physically gifted, and they transition over and learn how to strike or learn how to grapple, or maybe they were good at to begin with, and they're going to be the dominant forces in the sport. I mean, you're going to, at one point it was you didn't have to be a great athlete to be a good fighter. I mean, you could be a decent athlete and just be really knowledgeable, but I think it's, you can't do that in the NBA, you can't do that in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be like that with MMA. I mean, you're going to have to be almost a college level D1 athlete to be able to compete at something.
Yeah. And then
that's what I've been saying for a while. So.
Yeah.
And then really quick, Chris, we just had UFC Fight Night. I just want to get your thoughts on Conor McGregor.
Man, he's looking pretty dominant right now. It's funny. It's like it's almost like they've hyped him up to this point, and he believes it and it's happening. So it's kind of amazing to me. And I think he's getting himself up there pretty high, and I think he's riding a good wave of confidence right now. At some level, it's very much about confidence. So I'm liking to see him do well. It's probably an amazing thing when you have your whole country in your corner, and just that energy that you feed on. But I'm just interested to see how he's going to do when he goes up to the next level of competitor, and see how that transitions and how he's going to handle. I hate to say it, everybody in the sport loses. I'd like to see how he's going to handle.
Yeah, that's true.
I have lost one that was a long time ago. So just seeing how if he can continue to go this, or if invincibility that he seems to have right now in his own mind and some other people's mind. I just want to see how that continues to progress, and I like seeing a guy do well, man. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, Chris, we'll let you go. Obviously, in your MMA career, you're never finished. All your losses come via decision. They get one TKO stoppage for a cut. But it's obviously to see that your toughness and grit has carried over to your post-fight career. And we thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us. Really appreciate it. We'll keep an eye out for Lights Out on Bullion come on August and all your stuff on Fox Sports. And so thank you again for the time to speak with us. We appreciate it.
Hey, you guys are awesome. Let me know when I can come back on.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Chris. Chris Lytle, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Please visit 5roundmma.com on our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. 5roundmma.com.
Welcome back, and a big thank you to Chris Lytle for taking the time to speak with us. We really do appreciate it. This week on July 26, 2014, in the SAP Center in San Jose, California. You were in San Jose, weren't you, recently?
Yeah, San Jose is a beautiful area. Beautiful area.
UFC on Fox 12 or UFC on Fox, Lawler versus Brown. I know it's a...
I'm surprised there ain't any AKA guys up in here.
I think especially at the Shark Tank, man.
Because they were all scheduled to fight on the UFC Mendes versus Aldo card. Because I think Danny Castillo's on that card, a couple other guys. And then Jose Aldo gets hurt and the whole card gets canceled. So.
Yeah, and none of those guys get their money either.
Yeah. Well, isn't Robbie Lawler from... No, he's not. He's not from California, is he?
I don't know.
Whatever. Anyways, Robbie Lawler versus Matt Brown, and Anthony Robo Johnson versus Little Nog, Clay Guida versus Dennis Bermudez.
Pretty stacked card.
Josh Thompson, San Jose guy,
versus our local Bobby Green from Fontana.
Southern California guy, Bobby Green, on this card. So it's pretty good UFC on Fox card, I think, right?
It's going to be on Fox, so
Darren Kirkshank's fighting.
I just want to thank... Dana White for putting it on Fox.
Yeah. Also, our good friend,
and not the UFC network.
Our good friend, 5-round MMA alumni, Darren Kirkshank.
Of course.
But you guys want to talk about, for some reason, Patrick Cummins during the break? Let's talk about Patrick Cummins.
We have to.
Look, 2 points.
Go ahead. I'm going to be stepped out.
Do you want to do it? Do you want to do 1 point? I'll do the other point.
Okay, I'll do 1 point.
We got to hammer it.
Right,
okay. So my first point is Patrick Cummins needs to thank what's his name?
DC?
Daniel Cormier.
Okay.
Because if it wasn't for Daniel Cormier needing an opponent, he wouldn't have a UFC job. So, that's the first thing. My first point, Patrick Cummins needs to thank DC.
Okay. How's that okay?
I don't know. You just messed up. You messed up her point, because the point was, why are we talking about him?
Yeah.
Well, that's why we were talking about him.
It is a thank.
Because for every win that Patrick Cummins get, it makes DC look that much better. That
he dominated him?
And it also shows that he does deserve to face John Bone Jones.
Okay, well, because Patrick Cummins did fight in 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. he's really taking that I'm not going to work at Starbucks anymore to heart.
Wow. He is a bit Scout Kingsbury, trying to prove his record to 6-1.
And then Darren Kirkshank headlines that preliminary card right there.
It's George Mandesall. Darren Kirkshank, I think, only rising, right?
Yeah, he's up and rising right now.
I like his fighting style too. So he's standing bangs.
So, Josh Thompson, the guy who many say got shafted out of the lightweight title picture.
I don't think he got shafted. He lost.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he got hurt. He was supposed to face Anthony Pettis.
Yeah, and then he was forced to face Benson Henderson.
I guess if you look at it that way.
Anytime you're forced to face Benson Henderson, it's not a good idea. And then I remember his tweet when they announced Pettis versus Melendez on the Tough. He just said, yuck, this makes me want to vomit or something like that. But now he's going to face Bobby Green, who wasn't his original opponent, right?
No, it wasn't. His original opponent was actually Michael Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
But Michael Johnson stepped down. And I think the story here is actually Bobby Green and not Josh Thompson, because this is a big step up for Bobby Green. Bobby Green's been doing wonderful in the UFC.
The thing is, doing excellent. Bobby Green got hurt, or he was supposed to fight, and he hasn't. So a lot of people maybe haven't seen him in quite a while.
He was actually supposed to fight my boy Trujillo.
Abel Trujillo.
Yeah.
So is this like I don't want to disrespect Bobby Green, but this is a lose-lose for Josh Thompson?
It's for Josh Thompson.
I don't say a lose-lose.
You know how it's a lose-lose? Okay, you beat a guy on short notice, but you beat a lesser
if he beats Bobby Green, it was in a short notice, and no one's really going to give him credit.
Yeah,
if he loses, oh, man. Does Bobby Green's stock go up and Josh Thompson falls way back into line?
What do you think, Aaron?
Well, I think if Josh Thompson wins, I don't think it's a losing. Bobby Green has been on a tear.
No, yeah.
So, I mean, you can't discredit what Bobby Green has done.
You can make the argument that, it was a short turnaround.
If you're looking at names, yes, but he's still in contention if he beats Bobby Green.
That's true.
So that's why I don't think he has nothing to lose by beating him.
Especially at this division, there's so much sharks in this tank.
So, a win keeps him relevant and keeps him in the top 5.
So just persuading.
He's fighting for relevancy, right?
Yeah, I think so. And it's more win-win for Bobby Green. That's the real thing.
If Bobby Green can win this, he could possibly face Benson Henderson at by the end of the year.
And imagine that fight.
That'd be a good fight. Also, coming up next, the next bout, be two guys I think who have like stone granite chins, Dennis Bermudez and Clay Guida.
Well, if we get the old Clay Guida, this is going to be a throwdown.
Yeah, I was gonna say because Clay Guida hasn't been known to throw it down anymore.
Well, true, but I mean, Dennis Bermudez is going to come forward and come at you. Right? So hopefully it's not a wrestling match. Both these guys have wrestling pedigrees.
Yeah, usually that cancels out, and we get to see a good action. But then again, remember his fight against Greg Maynard? He never really wanted to engage. So hopefully,
I think something about Dennis Bermudez, people just want to hit him.
On paper, this looks like this is going to be a
slobber knocker.
Yeah, a good old slobber knocker.
I think it was. It's going to be on national television. I think Bermudez is one of those guys, kind of Diego Sanchez brings it all the time. I think
this review is on a tear.
Yeah, but
this kid has been destroying the division.
Does that hurt somebody when they just go for it every fight? Do people take him a seriously contender, or it's kind of a novelty act?
Well, just look at Diego Sanchez. That's a good comparison.
But he's getting paid. He has a submission of the night, fight of the night, performance of the night, and that's all $50K right there.
I mean, as long as you're putting on a show for the fans, I guess you're in Dana White's good graces, and that can elevate you to maybe a title shot.
True. True. Co-main event.
Anthony Rumble Johnson.
Are you surprised?
Back in the picture.
Are you surprised he's getting such a big push from the UFC upon
his
return?
Yes, because I felt like he was in the bad graces of Dana White right before he got cut.
It looked like they were trying to bury him.
Yeah, it looked like he can't make weight. This guy's fat. Blah blah blah. We're gonna cut him.
I think
they did cut him.
I think it has more to do with the lack of light heavyweights than anything. Because if you really think about it, after Gustafsson in DC, you're out.
So dramatic.
There's no one left. For real, think about it.
Rest in peace.
Hey, rest in peace, the light heavyweight division.
Too much Undertaker right
there. They need a third option is what I'm saying.
And I think he's young enough to where maybe we can put our eggs in this basket, make him into a star.
That was no hit to Phil Davis. It just sucks that
no, Phil Davis is my boy.
If Phil Davis
is actually number one contender in my book.
To tell you the truth, I don't know who Phil Davis has to be to get some respect around the UFC.
That's what I'm saying. Phil Davis is the true number one contender.
Well, speaking about respecting the UFC, Anthony Johnson's opponent is Little Nog,
who has been lackluster
and
career in UFC.
Absent.
His last two wins were over Tito Ortiz and Rashad Evans.
And how many fights did he drop out?
Well, he fights, gets hurt, fights get hurt. Yeah. So I mean.
I think it's the end of the road.
I mean,
for the
other than his last name.
If he gets finished in this one, I think he's finished.
Both
with the
Nogueiras, I think they're done.
Oh yeah, I think the big Nog has been done for a while. Little Nog is just kind of hanging around because he has a contract to fulfill, right?
Yeah.
Let's go up to the main event before we head out, say our goodbyes.
Oh no, you guys can talk about it.
According to Dana White, this is the number one contender bout, right? Robbie Lawler versus.
Yes, already saw the number one contender bout. It was Tyrone Woodley versus Rory McDonald.
And if I'm mistaken, has Johnny Hendricks been? He's still hurt, right? So he doesn't have an opponent lined up. So the winner of this one, we're gonna get him when he comes back.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's the way.
The real question is, how long is Johnny Hendricks out for?
we can either see Hendricks versus Lawler 2 or Matt Brown versus Hendricks, right?
Yeah.
But my guess is we're gonna see
Robbie Lawler versus
Rory McDonald 2 before we see Robbie Lawler versus just Hendricks 2.
I kind of agree, but at the same time. I don't know if Robbie Lawler will be willing to wait.
Matt Brown with a record of 19-11.
First of all, Robbie Lawler just wants to fight.
That's true.
He's not a belt chaser. I think he's
so then. And that point, I agree with Albert. It'll be Robbie Lawler versus Rory Mac.
If Matt Brown wins, I think Matt Brown waits. If Robbie Lawler wins, I think he's down to throw it down one more time. If the fight's not there for him.
And these are two guys in their 33 and 32 respectively, kind of like towards the end of their prime, athletic prime. So I mean, I think
weight is not on their side.
This is kind of the last shot for both guys, right?
Yeah. So I think Robbie Lawler is more.
And Robbie Lawler has been so good at staying active. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a disadvantage to him if he doesn't stay active if he wins this fight. And decides to wait 6 months to fight Johnny Hendricks.
Honestly, I would want Lawler to win this one because
just to keep the division active.
Yeah, and also that I heard him in an interview. He wants Hendricks again. He says it's not going to be the same kind of fight it was last time. So I want to see the fight I was promised, the two knockdown, drag out fight I was promised the first time around. I didn't get.
And I agree because Robbie Lawler, I can see him more of trying to finish someone, and Matt Brown being more how do I say. Scared of the moment or maybe tentative.
So long too. I don't know.
I said real quick, we do our picks. I don't think we haven't picked anybody in a long time.
Well, isn't really cards worth picking. That's why.
Go for it.
I don't have the fight pass, so I can't pick a fight I'm not gonna watch.
Well, this one's free,
but
so
this one's free, so we can watch it.
So you want to start with the whole card, or just with the highlights?
No. Let's go for the main card. Just
what's the main card? Let's go
Should
with
be Bobby Green, Josh Thompson.
Let's do your boy Cal Kingsbury, Patrick Cummins. Come on, guys.
I got Patrick Cummins.
Patrick Cummins.
Cal Kingsbury. George Madisol or Darren Cruikshank?
Oh, Darren Cruikshank.
I'll take Darren Cruikshank.
FRMMA alum, Darren Cruikshank. Josh Thompson or Bobby Green?
I think Bobby Green's gonna come out big.
Bobby Green?
I think Bobby Green's gonna come out big.
I got Josh Thompson.
Yeah,
he's kind of hungry. He's hungry and he's mad. He wants his title shot. He wants his recognition. Josh Thompson.
I'll go Bobby Green.
And
Josh Thompson has been thinking about retirement.
Home field advantage. San Jose. Clay Guida against Dennis Bermudez.
I got Dennis Bermudez.
I got Dennis Bermudez.
You know, I got Bermudez too. I think it's gonna be his fight. I think he's gonna press the pace and just go for it. Anthony Johnson against Little Nog.
I got Rumble Johnson. Knockout, first round, 30 seconds.
Wow,
so specific.
No, I got Rumble though.
Rumble too as well. Robbie Lawler against Matt Brown.
I got Robbie Lawler.
Robbie Lawler
as well.
I can't believe I agreed with that every single fight.
And I think that thing finishes 3 rounds and below. It's not going to go 5.
5 rounds? Well, hopefully, and we get a finish. UFC on Fox, Lawler versus Brown can be seen on July 26th, live from San Jose. UFC on Fox. So check your local Fox.
In beautiful
channel.
California.
Yeah, San Jose. That's it for today. A big thank you to Chris Lytle. And before we leave, the most important pressing matter of the show, since Ollie the Troy is not here, Big Game's going to step up. And Alan, who is today's super clean star of the show?
For that New Jersey comment, we're going to give it to Albert.
Wow.
Yes. New Jersey's an island.
On the New Jersey.
Yes. The super clean star of the show is brought to you by Rockin' Green. Get your Rockin' Clean products at rockandgreensoap.com for the full line of eco-friendly soaps and detergents, and follow them on Twitter at rockandgreensoap.com. Also, please visit overtimenation.com where you can read our weekly articles, editorials, our fighter spotlight. We have also met up with UFC
Patrick Williams,
Patrick the Animal Williams, ASU alumni, trained with Cain Velasquez in college.
In college, he went to ASU with Ryan Bader, Cain Velasquez, and CB Dollaway.
So that's
what a stack.
So that's up at overtimenation.com. Also get the latest, keep up to track with all the NBA free agency frenzy. Also read about what Guillermo's been up to in Ollie Charlie in the soccer section. And so please visit overtimenation.com and follow them on Twitter at overtime_nation. While you're on Twitter, follow us at 5roundmma. We're also on Instagram at 5roundmma. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic. SoundCloud is now out, right?
Yeah. SoundCloud is gone.
That was a nice experiment, but just didn't cut it for us. And also a big, huge thank you to Redemption Martial Arts. The RMA Foundation is a nonprofit organization committed to the anti-bullying awareness. Visit their website at redemptionmartialarts.com to see how you can join the movement to stop bullying. Follow them on Twitter at redemption_MA. Everybody rise up against bullying.
Albert, take us away.
Okay. I'd like to thank our executive producer, Guillermo Cita. Our engineer there, Big Game.
Oh, you're just a big fan of Big Game today, aren't you?
Our sound engineer, Steven Roswell Records.
We're back in the sound space. I love it.
Back in the sound space. There's a reason why I'm wearing the Pepsi shirt.
Why?
Because I think Plan C is CM Punk. I think it was all work. I think they're trying to fool us. So I hope everyone watches Battleground on WWE Network. Obviously, you didn't see Raw.
No. I saw that his girlfriend came back and they gave her the title.
Paul Heyman said that he had a Plan C. And everyone thinks it's Brock Lesnar. I think it's CM Punk.
Okay.
So, thanks everybody for listening.
Oh, yeah, Big Game, I'm coming for you. The cream of the crop.